Today's episode of The Republic is brought to you by Elder Scrolls Online. Receive 20% off your Elder Scrolls copy. Just head on over to offergb.com/ESO.
Game Breaker TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Game Breaker. I'm Gadigan, and you're watching The Republic episode 178 for April 10th, 2013. Today, 2.7 hits the live servers. The war has finally begun, and more class rep Q&A action we got going on. All that more, but first, joining us as always, Mr. Larry Everett. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I got my bacon mug, so you know everything's all right.
Everything is all right. Laura, do you have your bacon bowl?
No, I don't have a bacon bowl.
Damn. All right,
I'm
Laura
sad. I know, isn't that awful? I should have a bacon bowl.
Have you guys seen that late night commercial with the bacon bowl?
Yes! Yes!
Like
Oh my gosh.
Infomercial. You just wrap the bacon.
You know what? I had actually seen something a couple of days earlier posted to my Facebook that was talking about taking a muffin pan and lining the muffin pan with bacon and then cooking it that way.
Kind of the same idea.
Bam! I see the thing where it's the upside down muffin pan to make a bacon bowl.
It's basically what it is. Yeah, just make a bacon bowl. Have a salad, your bacon bowl. Pretty good
so
stuff.
Good.
Larry's a
Of course, Larry
poser.
wouldn't eat it because
he's a poser. He's got a
Greek
bacon mug and he doesn't even like bacon.
I know, Larry, get the fuck out.
Angry. Don't like bacon. All right. Update 2.7 hit live servers this week, right? Correct?
Yep.
Yep, sure did.
Let's start with that. I think that's what everybody's excited about. So, I don't know. What's it like invading Korriban and Tython?
It's fun. Who doesn't love blowing up Jedi shit?
I mean, I guess you guys don't have to spoil anything, but like, tell me what's going on a little bit. Like, is there more going on here just than going, let's go blow shit up?
Well, if you want to play it that way, you can absolutely play it that way. But really, what's happening is that for some reason, I guess the defenses on Tython and Korriban right about at the same time there was a hole in the defenses, and so both the Empire could attack Tython and the Republic could attack Korriban right at the same time. Little bit fishy there, and then you go in and you are able to, and seriously, the place is destroyed. I mean, the walls are falling down, there's rubble everywhere. It's a mess.
Giant holocron has been destroyed.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome and horrible at the same time, and destructively horrible. And I think they did a really good job of maintaining. It still felt like both Tython and Korriban, they didn't destroy it so much that it was completely unrecognizable, but it was certainly destroyed pretty radically, and it's fun. I like it a lot.
Well, you also, another fun thing about it is that you get to fight some named NPCs that you run into on either faction from the starting areas. Like, for example, if you are Empire attacking Tython, you run into people like Liam Dentry, who he's the one that gives you the quest to fight all the droids as you're leveling up. Who else do you fight in there besides Liam Dentry?
You do get to fight as a Republic character. You get to fight all the. If you've done the Sith storyline at the very beginning of the storyline, you go around with a holocron and you test everybody for the amount of Sith blood that they have in them. And as a Republic character, you get to fight all of those guys, and so that's pretty interesting, and it's really neat how they kind of threw some of those characters in, so you kind of see them again from a different perspective. It's from a storytelling perspective that it's really neat.
Is it? Would you guys say that it's what you were hoping for, looking for, wanting? The storyline.
I think it's a fantastic lead-in to their overarching plot for the war between the Empire and the Republic. So yes, I definitely think that they delivered with this. Thumbs up. I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Yep. Yeah, as far as story goes, I am really. I think the Empire side is a little better. It gives you. I don't want to give away the tidbits that they tell you about.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to know those, I put them in a video on Hyperspace Beacon. But but I think the Empire side gives a little more of those tidbits, so it's a little bit better to understand what's kind of going on in the whole thing and who's behind everything and what's actually happening.
I'm just happy we're not covering random aliens and big bad robots.
Oh gosh,
nice.
let me tell you that
Right?
I think that's the biggest thing is that, oh my gosh, here we are, we're actually in a war again. We're not fighting big giant slugs from the Hutt cartel. We're fighting Republic
fighting
soldiers
the Jedi.
or Jedi. Yeah, I think that's great.
How long are the flashpoints?
Not long. I would say maybe 20 minutes per instance.
Yeah, 30 minutes if you watch all the cutscenes.
How do you think that? How are they as far as like story goes, or aside from the story, I should say? Actually, how are the mechanics and stuff?
Well, they're tactical tactical flashpoints. So it's going to pair you up with the first 4 people that I can pull together in a group. If you're in a group that has no healer, it can be maybe a little bit more challenging. There's a lot more harder hitting mobs in the zone than there were compared to, say, the Zerkle Labs or Quad Drive Yards. So depending on composition, it can be slightly more challenging, but for most groups, you shouldn't have any problems being able to blow through it. Obviously, if you want to employ CC, which is something that we haven't seen in a lot of flashpoints that's been needed, that's another thing that can really assist getting through with no healer. I think the biggest, not as painful.
The biggest thing to keep in mind, let's say you're a pretty fresh 55 and you're just getting into this flashpoint, you don't have like in-game raid gear and whatnot. The big thing to keep in mind is if you don't have a healer or you don't have a tank, you're going to want to employ as much CC as possible, as much crowd control as you possibly can. And even if you have, say, a tank and not a healer, crowd control is going to be very, very important. And I think this is one of the things, kind of what Laura was hinting to. This actually opens up your abilities, the abilities that you have. You kind of got to know what other, like as a DPS, for instance, you have to know what other abilities you have besides taking down the mob as fast as you possibly can, because that's not going to help you whenever you have 20 of them. There's a one point when you're on Korriban where there is like 20 of them shooting at you at one time. I mean, a big group of them.
But there's like 3 exploding boxes that you can blow up to make them all blow up, and that's awesome. I love exploding boxes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You got to be aware of CC and all those kinds of things. You can't just go in there and just try to kill everything with your lightsaber or blaster or something.
Is there any?
You should have totally linked our video where we were getting our ass kicked.
Oh,
in that one hallway where we were running through and we kept dying to the golds and the champion because we couldn't get the silvers down.
What was happening? What happened?
So
there's this one part in the Korriban temple where you're coming to this hallway to go into, I guess, the main room, and there's a champion standing there. So we were both like, all right, well, we're gonna CC the champion, because it was just me and Larry and our pets. So I'm like, well, we're gonna CC the champion, and then 2 gold mobs are gonna jump down.
She means companions.
Pets, companions, whatever. So there's 2 gold mobs that jump down that are melee, and they are gonna come and charge you. And then following them are 4 silver mobs that heal. So for, I think, 4 or 5 attempts, we were like, all right, so we're going to CC this champion. We're going to run back around the corner, line of sight. We're going to wait for everything to run to us, and then we're just going to AoE everything down. Yeah, that was a huge fail. Huge fail. I think we spent like 20 minutes wiping ridiculously before I finally was like, CC that dude. We're going to bum rush in. We're going to kill this gold first. Then we're going to kill the other gold, and then we're going to take out the silvers. And that worked.
It took a little while for us to figure out an appropriate strategy. We were both DPS. Did we even have a tank? I didn't have a tank. Yours wasn't a tank.
I had Dreek and you had HK.
Yeah, so we were trying to figure out the best strategy to to take these guys down. And it was not.
We're good
It
at this
wasn't.
game.
It wasn't straightforward. It wasn't like, oh, let's go in there and just blast the heck out of everybody and kill them all, which is kind of what we were doing up to that point because we were well over geared. And but this time we had two champions. Was it?
No, it was
one
a champion, 2
Do we
golds,
have
4 silvers,
2
the
golds.
field,
Yeah, so they were
and then
all
peons.
they were all elite or above. So that's what kind of made it difficult for us.
Fail in 2014. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, we're good at this game.
Is there any kind of story outside of the flashpoints?
Yes, there is a
yeah.
little bit of story outside of the flashpoint that leaves you on a big cliffhanger for things to come. Dun dun dun.
Can we talk about any of it without giving it away, or no?
Well, I can tell you meet Satiel Shan's son. Say that 3 times fast. So you do get to meet him, and he is part of the SIS, which is the intelligence gathering system for the Republic. So there is, gosh, it's really hard without giving anything away. Because I hate to give something away. Because I will tell you, I will tell you this. Yeah, I'll tell you this. What you're presented at the beginning is not what you end up with at the end. You meet with Theron afterwards. I'll tell you that. You meet with Theron, and you also meet with if you're on Imperial. Yeah, if you're on the Imperial side, it's Alana Benko. You meet with them afterwards, and they tell you some stuff that is a little bit shady.
All right, everybody's gonna have to play it.
Yes,
satisfied?
absolutely.
Sounds like you're definitely satisfied.
Yeah.
I am, except that Darth Archon turned down my offer of a booty call. Who the hell turns down a Twi'lek for a booty call?
How did that happen?
I don't know, but that's some screwy writing, BioWare. Fix, please.
Fix the booty call.
Fix now.
All right, Nightmare mode Dread Fortress. I take it you guys have cleared it. Good job, gang. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, we're awesome. We're
Oh
amazing.
yeah, we're all riding around on tentacle backpacks.
Got
That's
it.
right. Yeah.
Ranked Warzone season has ended. I'm sure
Hold
you guys are
on,
both on your rank
just-
wars. You got that?
We were just watching Death and Taxes do Nightmare mode. In fact, I think they're still doing it,
I'm
right?
still watching them.
Yeah, they're doing Nightmare mode,
So
Dread
close.
Fortress, and they're wiping on the last boss over and over again. So that should tell you how difficult this is.
That should tell you where they're at.
Yeah, or where Death and Taxes is. Maybe they just really suck now. No, I'm kidding. They don't.
Did you guys get your rank wars? Ranked Warzone season has ended. You guys should have that.
No, I didn't. You know what
No.
I'm actually more disappointed about that I kind of wish that I had spent a little more time on? I wish that I had gotten the mini pet. Oh, it is a miniature Rancor that you ride. Well, you can't ride on it, but it's a miniature of the Rancor that you ride on, and it's cute and it's glowing. And now I am so sad that I don't have it. I am more sad that I do not have that than I am that I don't have the Rancor mount.
Gotta jump on it. Gotta get in there.
I know.
I would have liked it. This whole thing with the rewards for ranked war zones, I wish they would have let us know early, because I probably would have jumped on it earlier. But I was, by the time that
I think
they
that's
let
kind
us
of
know
the
what
consensus. Yeah, it was too
Yeah,
everybody felt it was too late.
Yeah, by the time that we knew what pets were, or not pets, what rewards were available, I was so burnt out on it. I just didn't want to do it anymore. It's really what it boiled down to. And I'm like,
I think it's. Am I right in saying that most people just felt that once they did announce it, that they just felt that there was no chance for them to really catch back up?
Some people, yeah. I know there's some. I know there's some people that caught up and actually were able to get the 1500 rank. It's 1500. Although it's kind of high, is not exactly that high. It's still only 5% of people got up to 1500, but it's not extraordinarily high. That used to be the armor rating for certain pieces of PvP armor. You would have to get 1500, and I knew some people that.
Oh God, actually, there were some pieces that you had to have 2400 for in order to get. So.
But I knew some people that had the 1500 rating for the armor in the past. So yeah, it's definitely achievable. It's just at some point it was just too late. I think it was too little, too late, if you will. And next time, hopefully, whenever the next season starts, we'll know what the rewards are right up front.
Are you guys seeing a lot of them around? There are a lot of people.
We've seen a few of them.
I've seen a few, not as many as I would have expected, unless
Yeah.
people just aren't pulling them out to ride on them.
That's kind of cool. Make it a little bit more, a little harder to get. Tell me about the Kesh Hutball map. That's good to go. Have you guys jumped in there yet?
I finally got it to pop. I like it. It's glowy. It's new. I had no idea what was going on, and I got my ass handed to me. But I kind of liked it. I can definitely say that this is a map right now for juggernauts. There were a lot of people doing leaps and intercedes and a lot of sword pulling.
This is the CC map. If anything is a CC map, this one requires a lot of CC. And I don't mean just stuns. I mean like knockbacks and those kinds of CC, especially like knockbacks and gap closers. Those are extraordinarily important in this at this map. In fact, I talked about this, and I haven't actually seen anybody do it yet, but just based off of looking at the map and the locations of everything, you could probably go from center to goal in like 5 seconds.
Actually, you can. That was something that people were complaining
did somebody
about
do that?
on the forum. Yeah, they said somebody jumped down, went all the way to the bottom. It was a juggernaut, got the ball, and interceded back up.
Yeah.
And they scored, and it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, you can actually do it faster than that. If you have a well coordinated team, which right now we're kind of at an advantage because there isn't a whole lot of well coordinated teams. But if you finally get a hold of a well coordinated team, they could literally have the ball from the spawn point to the goal in like 5 seconds because it takes 1, 2, 3 throws of the ball and you can be at the goal.
Kesh or Narshada?
That's a tough one. Right now, I honestly like Narshada better, only because I think, not that I don't like Quesh. I like what they've done with it. I like the vertical progression thing. I think it's just that particular layout is going to be really frustrating once things get coordinated, because it'll be so easy to get the ball to the goal.
What do you think, Laura? Any thoughts?
I'm gonna go with Quesh just because it's new and it's something different.
Have you?
I agree that it's gonna be frustrating, but winning in Hutball has always been about passing. And if this is a map that teaches people that they need to learn how to pass, hopefully they learn how to pass.
Have you guys seen the Starfighter map yet? The one with the capital ships?
I have not seen that yet. I'm a bad. I didn't jump into Starfighter.
Talk about a tease
Punish
for
me.
guild capital ships, though, huh?
Yes. I have seen it. Like I haven't jumped in it, but I have seen it because I watch people play it and whatnot. And yeah, it's well, this is what I was talking about as far as I don't know if did I mention it on the show? I forget. I know I mentioned it to some people that this is how you could possibly do guild capital ship PvP, right? You get your ship on one side, your enemy guild on the other side, and you let the starfighters battle it out in the middle.
You think
Right?
they'll do that?
I don't know. They absolutely could, right? I mean, it's there. It's like jumping out. It's right there. You can see it in that map. That's exactly what can happen.
I mean, I guess they do have to add combat or space combat to the guild capital ships eventually, don't they?
I hope so. I hope they do something like that. I hope there's some. I mean, I'm not totally against the idea of just having some place for people to hang out and whatnot. But I'm really hoping that there's something that the guild capital ships can do. There's some kind of function to it, so that it's not just, say, the role players that are hanging out there the whole time.
I mean, that's really it for the really, really big stuff. But I can't forget the ever so exciting new ground targeting Reticle options. That's exciting.
Yes.
Stuff. How is that?
I like it. I tried it with passing the Hutball, and it works pretty good.
How did
You
it help
target
out?
somebody, you hit your Hutball button twice, and it just flings it to their feet.
Are they a little more
No
visible?
more
Can you
worrying
actually see
about
what's going on?
Yeah, it still puts the reticle on the ground of where it's going to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't follow them the whole time. So if, for instance, they step out of it, they're out of it. Like as soon as you throw it, that's where it's going to land, no matter what. It's not going to follow that the person that you've targeted. It's going to land in that reticle. It's just that what this allows you to do is to target a little bit easier with the reticle itself. So, yeah, I think it's actually needed. It's been needed for a while, and a lot of games that have reticles like that have the if you have a target on the ground, you can target an NPC and it'll shoot that direction. So
What are the Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what are the major class changes in this patch? Anything really significant that we should go over?
Well, Juggernauts have to target somebody to use Smash.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So you can't just hit the ground. Let me see.
And I was ahead of the curve on my Juggernaut. Yeah, see, I knew that Enrage Defense would actually eventually be a cooldown and not a detaunt, so I had put it in my Juggernaut rotation.
So you're using it in your rotation and then losing aggro on.
I was totally I was ahead of my time. That's really what it boils down to.
Larry's always been ahead of his time.
Nothing better than getting called out on stream. Why are you detaunting in your rotation?
Yeah. It was a cooldown. Anyway, it's the cooldown now.
So nothing super significant, though, it sounds like, besides that. Are we seeing...
well, nothing new since the things that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we seeing class rep bitching? I mean, feedback at work here? Do you think that's what this is?
Wait. Before we move on, we have to talk about the most important change in these patch notes. And that was, if you are dark side aligned, you can now use the Amote mime. Biggest change of 2.7.
Does it have the dark side? I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently if you were dark side aligned,
mime?
you could not use the Amote mime, but now you can.
That's important. That is pretty important.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Dun dun dun.
Well, it's a little thing, like every item has an alignment to it. Every item, but it just if it's neutrally aligned, then it just doesn't show up. However, for whatever reason, the mime ended up with an alignment to it, so some people couldn't use it. It's pretty awesome.
Hey, here's a question for both of you. What do you guys think of this? What do you think? I was just joking around about the class rep stuff. What do you think about Galactic Starfighter classes having? Do you think they need reps?
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
I don't know.
I'm sure BioWare would love to answer more questions.
To get communication going.
Do they need it? I mean, how's the balance going on? Like, is there anything else going on with this patch?
I think they have pretty good communication with people about what they're doing for Starfighter, but I don't know. I don't think it would be a bad thing if they implemented it, but if it ends up another line of sight and heal to full, that would be terrible. So I'm gonna kind of reserve a little bit of judgment there.
Right now, there is quite a bit of communication about Galactic Starfighter from the developers, although it's a bit laxed now that things are kind of settled and whatnot. But so I'm not sure that it's necessary at this point. Perhaps down the road when people
maybe like a year or so down the road.
Yeah. I wouldn't even necessarily go that far, but maybe if next time there's a map or something like that, or when they introduce a new class or there needs to start being a little more communication, a little more one-on-one kind of communication. But as of right now, they're communicating pretty well, I think, about Galactic Starfighter, mostly because it's new, I think, and they're still actively working on it. It's fresh on the developers' minds.
Yeah, just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe someday we'll see, Galactic Starfighter reps as well. All right, so we got some more stuff to talk about with the Commando questions, but first I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, and that is, of course, Audible. Love having Audible on as a sponsor here on The Republic, and I want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. All you have to do is use the URL audible.com/gamebreaker. Just go over, sign up, make an account, and you're going to get to choose one free audiobook. And if you've watched the show, you've heard me talk a lot about the Star Wars books. There's plenty of Star Wars books on there, SWTOR specific ones, but I figured I'd pick a different one this week. This is a classic, Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's a great one. Let's take a listen.
Do you remember a visit Sir Humphrey Davy, the celebrated chemist, paid me in 1825? Not the least, since I only came into the world 19 years afterwards. Well, Humphrey Davy came to see me in passing through Hamburg, and among other topics we had a long discussion on the hypothesis that the center of the Earth was in a liquid state. We both agreed that this liquidity was impossible, for a reason to which science can find no reply.
Fantastic piece of classic world literature that is Journey to the Center of the Earth. You could download that absolutely free as one of your free books. And if you guys have not checked out Audible, this is your chance. I know once you try it out, you're going to love it. I've been a subscriber for, I've lost track of how many years it's been now. Go check it out. Go to audible.com/gamebreaker. Sign up. That's the URL you're going to want to use. And then you download the app to your iOS device or your Android device or whatever you got. They got Kindle Fire, all kinds of stuff like that. And then choose a free audiobook and get to listening. Check it out today, audible.com/gamebreaker. All right, so BioWare answered the top 3 Commando questions. So the first question was pretty simple. Gunnery has lower DPS than other specs. What's up with that, BioWare?
They had an awesome response to this.
I'd like to know myself. What was it?
Well, they basically said, yep, we know that it's lacking. And eventually, boosting it up is on our to-do list. However, it is really low on the to-do list because we're going to bump Vanguards and Power Techs, Shadows, and Assassins to give them at least one skill tree that has viable, sustained DPS for PvE before we even consider looking at Assault Specialist and Pyrotech, because you've already got another tree that can do really good damage. So basically, you're doing it wrong.
I have to say something about the Gunnery, and on the mercenary side, it's what is on the mercenary side? I just had a brain fart. But anyway, somebody will answer me. The rotation on Gunnery is super easy. It is probably the easiest rotation of any class in the game. And with that in mind, I'm absolutely fine with it doing less DPS. You literally, and we have a couple of mercenaries of this spec in our raid, and they talk about how it's like 4 buttons. It's literally 4 buttons. That's all they have to hit, and that's what gets them the DPS. And they have talked about in the past making it less RNG based and things along that line. But I think that it's okay for this to be it's comparable DPS in the sense that you're not going to be kicked from a raid because you're gunnery spec or arsenal spec. So that's not going to ever be an issue. You put out enough DPS to where you can take down any kind of raid boss and contribute to the raid. So you're not going to be kicked from a raid or anything like that. So I think it's perfectly acceptable that this has less DPS because of the easy rotation.
Could this be slightly dangerous for PvP though? I mean, it seems to be like moving away from the idea that specs with like a little healing shouldn't have lower DPS.
Well, and they did say that they were trying to move away from that mentality that because you can off heal that you shouldn't be able to do, as much DPS as a class that doesn't have that type of capability. But they said right now, because they already have another tree that can do good sustained DPS, that this is a really, really low priority for them. They said they would consider taking a look at high impact bolt and possibly reducing the heat cost on it down to not free the way it was to pre 2.0, but very low so that it's almost free.
All right, the second question was also pretty simple. Commandos need an oh shit button. What's up with that, BioWare? Another good question. What was their answer on that?
We're aware that you need a no shit button, and that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. The longer answer was that as far as granting them a new ability, don't expect to see anything outside of an actual expansion, which means there's a good possibility that you could possibly see something towards the end of the year, since they said that we are going to have an expansion at the end of the year that's supposed to be McKeb sized, and we did get new abilities with that. So that is always a possibility. Keep that in mind. The other thing that they said was they could possibly improve the current defensive talents that they have now. They would think about it. And then they said, what would the community like to see? So tell us what you want to see, and we'll pick out something that's not completely overpowered.
Lar, how are in your opinion, how do you think Commandos are doing in PvP in your experience?
Like Commandos, you don't see a lot of them. I think that they are typically underperforming. If you see them, they're probably healing, but even then, the operatives and sorts are tend to be a little more, at least especially in ranked PvP, from my understanding, that you like never see a mercenary or a commando in ranked PvP. Yeah, I do think that there's definitely a lack there. Is it a defensive lack? Yeah, maybe. But also there is an offensive lack there as well. They don't put out a whole lot of damage comparatively. Definitely not a quick amount of damage. But that's not to say that they're non-existent from PvP and they can't be viable, because I do know some really good commando healers that I can just wail on them with my 2 lightsabers and never seem to take them down. So I think what a little bit of what they lack in the oh shit button area, they kind of make up in the sustained defense, kind of like the tank version of the Pyrotech or Vanguard side of the Trooper and Bounty Hunter as well.
I like the part about them not getting an ability outside of an expansion. It was nice.
Yeah, flat out. Don't even consider it. It's not coming.
Am I right in saying that we're supposed to get basically 2 of what BioWare would consider expansions this year?
Well, we already know that we're getting housing, and that's coming. Let me flip back to my notes. Like June?
Yeah.
So
June 7th,
we're getting that in June, which means theoretically they should be starting probably the closed beta for whatever the McKeb-sized expansion is, which I would imagine would probably hit around November.
Yep.
If I had to time it out.
I'm guessing about the same. I'm thinking we'll see housing in June, and then we'll see the next McKeb kind of expansion in November, maybe as late as December.
All right, the third question here was kind of the opposite of simple. It actually seemed like 5 questions in one. Yeah, who wants to break this down for me?
It was ridiculously long.
See, if I were class rep, I wouldn't pull this kind of crap. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gary for class rep.
What's the question about?
Oh my god, it was all kinds of things. They were complaining that they didn't have a lot of group utility. That was one part. There was weak synergy with several baseline abilities. That was a second one, and they specifically referenced Hail of Bullets and Plasma Grenade. They wanted confirmation that there was a phantom cooldown for the proc on Plasma Cells Dot, and they were complaining that it's difficult to effectively switch targets and maintain your dots. And then Alacrity still sucks. Are we getting the power tech change? Making it crit instead of Alacrity in our talents. So Yeah.
How did BioWare respond here? So basically, assault spec sucks. It lacks synergy and utility.
Phantom cooldowns, hard to keep up dots, and alacrity blows.
That was not one
Please
question,
fix.
class rep.
That's not one
And you
question.
know what? Honestly, though, I don't even think they should have asked that because they probably could have gotten better answers had they just picked one thing to focus on.
So, how
So
did BioWare
BioWare kind of
respond?
responded in kind and gave them a bunch of little responses. They said, as far as no group utility, they may increase the slow from sweltering heat, but they don't really want to add another stun or a slow because there's already so much of that out there and so many other trees and classes have things like that they just don't feel like that's really useful. So that was their answer. It didn't really answer it, honestly. As far as synergy goes, they said not every ability in the game receives synergistic bonuses from skill trees. Sorry. They said that specifically Assault Specialist was not designed to specialize in area attacks, so that's why they have very, very few boosts. Maybe they'll consider giving some boosts to different area of attack options, but they don't want to make them so powerful that people want to use area of attacks in your single target rotations. So again, it's kind of like, we'll consider it, but that's about it. They said, yeah, there is a 6-second rate limit on plasma cells burn, and that's not an error, and the tooltip needs to be updated. And then they said, we want alacrity to be useful for everybody. So in the future, no time on this, but in the future, we are going to think about having alacrity reduce the rate limit on abilities. So like that 6-second hidden dot rate limit, alacrity could in the future drop that down to like 4 or 3. However, no timeline on when that could ever possibly happen. So right now, they're going to go ahead and just make up the loss and damage somewhere else. Really kind of a bunch of non-answers.
I can't.
But it was a huge question with nothing for them to focus on.
Yeah, and on top of that, there was really a bunch of non-answers there as well. And I cannot believe at this stage in the game we have completely useless stats like alacrity.
Alacrity is awesome, Larry. What are you talking about?
I just can't believe it. I mean, it's not that. Okay, let me put it this way. It's not that alacrity in and of itself is useless, but it is useless to gear for alacrity. You don't gear for it. Carnage Spec Marauders use alacrity, but they use it on a per like every time you have Ravage, you want to hit Berserk, so it gives you alacrity, so that Ravage goes through faster. But that's like a per ability basis. That's not, you don't put alacrity in your armor, otherwise it'll gimp you. And at this point in the game, it just surprises the hell out of me that they have stats, and alacrity is not the only one, but they have stats out there that are completely useless. You don't gear for it because they do nothing for you. They help you out
Do
in no
healers
way.
gear for it? Is it a healing stat?
No. Power does a lot better for them than alacrity.
I'm sensing a theme with these Q&As. It's that every class sucks and people basically just need to re-roll.
That's right. Whatever your class you are now, re-roll and pick another class.
And that one will suck, and then you can re-roll again. Just keep making new classes.
Exactly.
Just keep re-rolling.
That's exactly.
Hey, they got to make that money somewhere. You got to play through all those stories.
Mm-hmm. And buy those
do it.
XP boosts.
Yeah.
Larry Everett, follow him on Twitter, shout out SHADDOE, and of course go over to Hyperspace Beacon and check out his weekly SWTOR column. What are you talking about this week?
I actually did a video on the new Hutball map and showed you around. It's pretty cool.
Get
Check
shown
it out.
around at the Hyperspace Beacon. Laura Williams, follow her on Twitter at VoidMynx, VoidMynx, and of course right here on The Republic each and every week. Always a pleasure, guys. Good stuff. We'll be back next week. You can follow me at Gary Gannon, follow GameBreaker TV, GameBreaker TV, and check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/GameBreakerTV. And we do the show live on Thursdays at 6 Pacific, so come on over for the live show. It's a lot of fun hanging out with the chat room and all the good stuff. So we'll be back next Thursday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week for some more Republic.